Okay, this is for the cinephiles guys. Thought they would get a kick out of this. It relates to their video on the Alien saga. I was digging through a box in my closet and came across this. This is the Alien illustrated story put out by Heavy Metal, and I believe they mentioned this in the video. It said Walter Simonson, Archie Goodwin below the illustrated story. This thing is from 1979, so it is 32 years old. It's kind of been through a lot, so you can kind of look at some of the artwork in this. There's a good picture of the alien on the inside cover. Another kind of a black and white copy of the cover. Up in this corner is the year 1979. I really like the artwork on this page, the black and white stuff. It's really cool for the time. Then we get into the color section here. Let me pan back a little bit. It had the original concept in the beginning of these two helmets talking to each other, and it was in the Alan Dean Foster book also. They really didn't do much with it in the movie. They kind of cut it down to just a reflection of the computer screens on the helmets. But in this version in the book, the helmets were actually talking to each other. You can kind of see the artwork. We're not going to go through every panel, but it kind of gives you a good representation of the actors that were in the movie. Goes through all the different scenes, gives you a good picture of the refinery that the Nostromo's pulling around. I really like this blue and red thing here. I used to have a pair of 3D glasses back then when I was a kid, and these would actually pop out of the thing even though it wasn't in 3D. Just the colors would pop right off the page. Here's where we actually get the title, like 6 pages into it. It starts out slow, kind of like the movie does. Here's the ship landing and all the dust. I believe the cover price on this was $3.95 back in 1979. A book like this now is going to cost you like 20 bucks. Some really cool artwork. And here we have the double picture of the ship that you're going to see in Prometheus. That's a really cool shot, and down in the corner you can see them talking about the spacecraft. The 3 portals to get into the ship. Then you have the space jockey here, which you're going to see more about in Prometheus. There's the chamber where you go down to the egg chamber, where he climbs down the wall. It does have a lot of images from the film. And they said in the video that was based on the original script, but a lot of this is definitely from the movie. There's the cat, Jones the cat. The Facehugger. It's a really cool picture, but it looks almost exactly like the shot in the movie. That's them trying to pull it out. They didn't do it with a pair of pliers, more like forceps in the movie. There's just a big old pair of pliers. And that's them looking on, and then they make a cut with the laser. You can see the acid blood squirting out. And this is the panel of them running through the decks to wait for it to stop eating through the decks. Then they come into the room and it's off his face. And this is when she finds the dead husk of the alien hiding above, and it falls down. At this point in the movie, we kind of know now that Ash knows what's going on. He actually wants Kane to give birth to this thing, as we find out later. This is them kind of had enough of it, and they're saying, let's take the ship off. And there's one big double panel of the ship taken off. It's them back on the ship, and the infamous dinner scene where the alien bursts out of him. Starts to get cramps, and then you see the blood splatter. Then we have another double panel of the alien coming out of his chest, which is really cool when you're 13 years old and you first get this graphic novel. It's like really awesome. Which I was back in 1979. That was just them talking, but it's really cool. Great artwork. That's when they find the cat in the locker. Right before Brett gets taken down by the thing. I love this picture of the alien about to get him. Then we go from one panel to the next, kind of the confrontation. This tail thing actually happens to Lambert in the actual movie, where the tail comes up between her legs and pushes her towards the alien. It doesn't actually happen to Brett. You can see it stick into his back and push him towards the alien's face. And then, of course, the alien splatters him with its double jaws. Then we go to the scene where Dallas is going to go through the tunnels to look for this thing, try to trap it. And of course he's the guy you think is going to be the hero of this movie, and he actually gets taken out right away. And that's the motion blip thing coming together. Very tense moment in the movie. That's her screaming for him to get out, and of course he turns the wrong direction, and there's the alien right there. And the alien looks so much bigger in this than it does in the movie. That's a cool shot. And we're going to get into where Ash reveals that he's an android, and he's been nurturing this thing along the whole time. The computer's in on it, the company computer. And he knows he has to take Ripley out to keep his thing a secret. As Ripley figures it out. Move my hand. This is him beating the crap out of her, and it's exactly like the movie where he rolls up the magazine, tries to choke her with it. And then Parker tries to get him off, and Parker ends up whacking his head off with the... Actually, in the movie, I think it's a fire extinguisher. Here, it's that tracking device. And he keeps attacking him, though his head's hanging there, still attached, though. And she stabs him with the cattle prod, just like in the film. we have these cool panels of just the ship, like you do in the transition in the movie, where they'll show the outside of the ship for a second so you get to the next scene. And this is her hooking him back up. Doesn't have all that white milk stuff like it does in the movie. And this is them deciding to blow the ship up and take off. And getting these coolant tanks ready for the ship. And then the alien obviously gets Parker and Lambert. As it's trying to get Lambert, Parker kind of sacrifices himself, which is kind of a theme in the other movies, the kind of the black dude sacrificing himself. We see it in Alien 3 with the Charles S. Dutton character who kind of fist fights the alien. Then we see it in the fourth one with I forgot the guy's name, with the double guns, who kind of sacrifices himself to take the alien out and goes down in the water. This is one of my favorite parts of this book, is when Parker gets blasted in the face with that double jaw. Which in the movie I think he gets his head split open. It's a very quick shot in the movie. Here you see him get blasted in the face, and then you see his face still intact down here for some reason. There's a cool shot of the alien like in a ball at the end of the hallway when Ripley's trying to escape from the ship. And she realizes she can't get to the shuttle, so she tries to shut off the self-destruct. And of course she doesn't make it. In the movie we see this shot of the alien come around the corner in the strobe lights, which is really cool. This is kind of that same shot in the comic book. This is her trying to turn off the self-destruct, and she can. Here in the comic she blasts it with the flamethrower, but in the movie she just hits it with something. I think it's a flamethrower. She just hits it up against her. Then she goes back and the alien's not there, and obviously the alien's inside the shuttle now. That's a ship exploding. And the shuttlecraft's leaving. And of course, just like the movie, she gets down to her underwear. And the alien's stuck inside the control, between the control panel and the console. And she gets into the airlock room to blast him out of the console and then blast him into space. He grabs the door before, and then she shoots him. And there's her shooting him. He flies outside. The door starts to shut, but it shuts on the gun. I think it just shuts on the cable in the movie. And he's kind of hanging there, and he's trying to crawl back in through the engine. And she activates the engine and blasts him, destroys him. So I thought you guys would get a kick out of seeing that. Again, we have the alien, the back cover. Yeah, down there at $3.95. This book's 30 some years old, so it does have some dog ears and stuff like that. It wasn't in any kind of protective thing, which I probably should have done. But that's all I got. So I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. Anybody else who really didn't know what they were talking about in that video, this is that graphic novel that they were discussing. I remember buying it at one of the bookstores when the movie was pretty much brand new in the theaters, and just kind of falling in love with it. Saw really good artwork and just a really cool book. All right, thanks guys.